Hello, beautiful, and welcome to the Finding Fertility podcast. I'm Monica, your mentor in uncovering the hidden layers of your fertility journey. Together, we'll discover the right path for you within the 6 essential steps to creating the family of your dreams. We'll ditch the overwhelm, tune into your intuition, and build a vibrant foundation for your fertility. Whether it's through gut health, subconscious healing, or energetic alignment, you can unlock your body's natural power to get and stay pregnant. Your fertility journey is all about radical responsibility and deeply believing that your body is on your side. It's time to stay consistent, embrace trust, surrender, and create the transformation you deserve. Finding Fertility does not diagnose, prescribe, or treat any fertility issues. What we do is empower you to take control of your health by uncovering the root causes holding you back. Let's do this together. Happy Friday, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Finding Fertility. I'm your host, Monica Cox. I am completely honored you are here with me, becoming the conscious mama you were born to be. And we have a special guest today. So welcome, Kirsten.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Kirsten Karchmer, and I was one of the first board-certified reproductive acupuncturists in North America about 25 years ago, and had the privilege of taking care of well over 10,000 women. In 2015, I read a study that less than 3% of couples could afford fertility treatments. And at that time, it was quite extensive. We had a very high-touch concierge kind of care in our clinic, and I was like, I'm part of that problem, and I wonder what I can do. And I really felt shame because I thought, wow, well, I've helped a lot of women, but that means 97% of the other people who needed help had nothing. And what can we do to try to bridge that gap? And I've been spending the last 10 years trying to build a digital twin of myself to put resources into the hands of all people who want to have a family affordably, safely, and most importantly, really effectively. And couldn't be happier to be here.
That sounds really exciting. Yeah, so a lot of fertility clinics are definitely catching on to a holistic way improves their outcomes, improves
Yes, it's good
their
marketing.
results. So we've definitely seen a shift in the industry from when I was going through it 15 years ago to now, a little bit of a shift, but they're definitely picking up that holistic things can improve. In your experience in the clinic, why was acupuncture so supportive?
It's interesting. We partnered very early on with RMA of Texas. They actually had an IVF center in our acupuncture center in Austin, and we had a satellite clinic in theirs. And the doctor, who's my dear friend, who's from Mexico, he's very funny, extremely smart, extremely charismatic. At the beginning, he said, Kirsten, that's what he called me. Kirsten. He's like, I get the feeling that you think that I'm the adjunct therapy here. And I was like, I absolutely do. I was like, you're what we do when nothing else works. Instead of having IVF and IUI be a first line of defense, I just think it's a waste of time. And more importantly, it causes women to suffer because they're actually not ready to be successful in those interventions. But they think like, well, I'm spending $2,000 on IUI. Surely that's going to get me somewhere, when in fact, they're actually not ready to win at IUI. And if we spend a little time helping them get ready for that, we can really, hopefully they just get pregnant naturally without it. But sometimes they'll need that bump. I think the thing that's most important is that, especially if you spend any time on social media, there's just advice from everyone. There's a lot of advice, and a lot of it is really bad misinformation. I talk to women all the time, like, why are you taking that? I don't know, like somebody on TikTok got pregnant with Geritol. It's a baby in a bottle. I'm like, well, Geritol has a ton of iron in it. So if you're taking a prenatal, you're actually overdosing on iron. You're actually hurting your fertility.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's really important that we, you and I talked about this for a little bit, but I think it's really important that it's not about doing more, and it's not about doing everything. It's figuring out, this is my takeaway from my clinical experience, was that there are at least 50 subclinical factors that can impact the likelihood of getting and staying pregnant. Things that you don't even think about, like fatigue is highly correlated with infertility and even more correlated with miscarriage. And we just interviewed 10,000 women last year, and 84% were fatigued.
Yeah.
84%. And so I was like, well, because the embryonic cells have so many mitochondria, it needs to be fed by resources from us to start that process off. And so really it's about there's not one trick ponies. Yes, food makes a difference. Managing your stress makes a difference. Sleep makes a difference. What you eat makes a difference. Digestion makes a difference. But if we can identify what your specific issues are, you don't have to do everything. You just do the things to fix those things. And that's what I think is the most impactful.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what I found through my own journey is that I was trying all the tips and tricks that I could Google, right? Social media wasn't even invented. So I would have went down a lot more rabbit holes than I did.
Yes.
And nothing quote unquote worked, even medical assistance, until I found really what was right for me. And going down that path led to the ultimate success. But getting there in this day and age, like I said, it's way more stressful now. You have so much information coming from so many different people. One of the things that I teach so deeply is the intuition and discernment. You're really feeling in whether or not you have the medical knowledge, what feels right for you. I had a client once say, "Oh, I'm eating 4 eggs now, but I was a vegan before. They told me eggs were good for fertility, but I've gained weight and I feel worse." I'm just like, well, then it's not working for you. Maybe try 1 egg to start with.
Put some bone broth.
Yeah, you really got to start listening to your body and not these, even if they are experts with a medical degree or an influencer, why are we not listening to ourselves more? We need guidance. But once we get that guidance going, oh, okay, that feels good to me. Okay, I'm going to try it. I actually see results, tangible results in my skin, my hair, my moods, my sleep, my digestion. And if I don't, then that might not be right for me.
I just talked to somebody, I do a live on TikTok every day, and I was just talking with someone and she says, I've been seeing an acupuncturist and a naturopath for a whole year. And I said, and you still have PMS and you still have 1 day of bleeding, you need to fire them. They're not getting it done. They don't know what the problem is and they don't know how to fix it. They've had a whole year. Yeah. For acupuncture, everything should be fixed in 6 months. Right. If they can't get all those things fixed in 6 months, then something's problematic. The desperation to get and stay pregnant is so primal that it makes women and couples who are on this journey extremely vulnerable. And I feel extremely protective of them. Like I really have a thing against the fertility trackers, fertility monitors. I think they are one of the biggest sources of stress. And I think they injure women. I just wrote a paper on this because I feel so strongly about it, because every day I get probably 50 to 100 DMs or emails of people taking pictures of the monitor from Mira, Auto, whatever, Prove, whatever. What does this mean? My PGD is 2000. What does this mean? My E2 is whatever. And they're freaking out. There's nothing to do and there's nothing to fix it. In our app, I tried to solve for that by collecting the right data that allows us to identify the underlying problems and then create specific strategies to start to repair those individual things. And like you said, each month you check in. It's all AI. So you check the Kai, which is AI me, she's like, so tell me, how was your period? How was ovulation? She gets all the data and then she's measuring what got better, what worse, got the same. And then you tell her the rest. But I didn't feel good because I was eating all those eggs. Okay, let's find something that should customize your menu plans. You can say, I don't think the eggs are working for me. Okay, let's try bone broth. Let's try whatever. Let's try to find a way. The journey can take a long time. The more that you can settle into a routine that feels livable, that feels something that you can just live with forever, as opposed to what can I cram in to band-aid the stuff together good enough so that I can get pregnant, which usually leads to miscarriage anyway. So we want to fix the foundation so that not only are you getting pregnant, but staying pregnant.
Yeah,
I can't remember what the question was now at this point.
It's okay. I definitely think that as women, we take our patterns that we were patterning before into our fertility journey because we're told that it's time sensitive because of our age, which is complete. It's cellular health, not age, not the number of birthday candles. Yes, there's an age factor. We're time limited. So we're going to take these patterns and we're going to repeat and repeat and repeat, and they're going to get bigger and more full and thicker. We want to micromanage. We want to control. We're type A. We've achieved everything we've wanted to achieve. Why aren't we achieving that? Fertility is probably the one thing that you can type A your way into it. I'm not going to say people don't, but you're going to put yourself at a higher risk factor for pregnancy issues, postpartum issues, health issues in yourself and your child as you get older. And that's just not talked about enough when we're bypassing our body waving that red flag, like, hey, I'm maxed. Yeah.
Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well,
I
I
was
think
just going to tell a story that I think is really relevant to this, that my midwife told me the first day she met me. I didn't really know much about midwifery at that point. And she said, like 3 minutes into the conversation, she goes, let me just tell you something. And I said, okay, just, the only way to get a baby out is to surrender. And I was like, hmm. She says, do you think you might have a hard time with surrendering? And I was like, do you think I would? And she goes, I think you would probably try to control the weather if you could. And I said, hey, that's pretty. She goes, you're a producer. And I said, okay, that's fair. And she said, that's good. She said, so what we have to do is you have to become a black belt. She goes, you became a black belt in many things in your life. She's like, now become a black belt at surrendered. So she's like, for the next 9 months, what I want you to do is your mother-in-law tries to dominate and you're like, after you. Somebody pulls in front of you on traffic and you're like, after you. Like, I can surrender to anything. She goes, the harder it is, the more pissed off you are, you just surrender. And she goes, because what happens in labor, when you get to transition, every woman that I have ever helped deliver, as soon as they get to transition, they start saying, I'm dying, I'm dying, I'm dying. And she goes, and you know what they are. What happens is that when you pass through transition and deliver your baby, before you have a baby, you're just a person. You might be married, but you can do whatever you want. You can still get divorced. You can do whatever. But as soon as that baby enters into the world, you are the mother of that child until forever. Like, there's no disentangling that. And she said, part of you has to die in order for that new person to become incarnated. And so when you get to that place and you're like, I'm dying, I'm dying. She goes, I'm going to look you square in the eye and I'm going to say, are you ready? She's like, you ready to get out of the way and just let it happen? And if you do that, she goes, you won't believe what'll happen. She's like, and if you fight, and that might happen too, she goes, you'll just suffer longer.
Oh.
And she's like, but know that it's your hand, that you can, the more that you can just accept it. And that was exactly what happened. I was like, oh, I'm dying, I can't take it. And she's like, it's time. And I had practiced and I was like, all right, let's do this. It was the most amazing thing. And I think it's the same thing for struggling to get pregnant. It doesn't mean do nothing. Surrendering is not doing anything. It's releasing the hold on it. Mm-hmm. And I think that the same thing is great practice, because all of these women who are trying to get pregnant hopefully will be pregnant and be delivering at that same precipice. So you might as well start practicing surrendering now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a beautiful story, and I wish she was my midwife. But it is the hardest thing to do in the thick of this journey is to practice this surrender. But I completely agree with you. If you do not practice now, parenthood will be twice as hard. You will run those same patterns, and trying to micromanage 1 to 5 kids, plus your husband, plus yourself, plus your career, plus everything else in this society, you're going to max out. You're going to hit those walls. If we can look at a fertility journey as being given the space to practice those things and release the timelines, release the expectations, release the control. And I think that's why apps and technology and supplements and even food to a certain extent, because you can't control your journey, you control those things. And you rely heavily on the answers because it's an illusion that they're giving you the answers you need, instead of just sitting in that uncomfortableness of, yeah, I don't know when this is going to happen. And so practicing that while you have to show up. Fertility issues is a warning sign from your body that you're not
nourished.
You're overstressed, you have too much cortisol, you have high inflammation, you're not detoxing, like all those different things. So it's your time to go, okay, I'm going to do this for myself now and learn, because you're not going to learn every single lesson, right? Pregnancy will teach you more, labor will teach you even more, and motherhood will be the ultimate lesson in your life. I know we talk about it a lot on this podcast about the surrender. What is your mini tip for women who are like, I'm trying, but I just can't?
Well, I think there's not one answer for those people. So people say this on our live a lot. They're like, I'm doing everything, but it's not working. But what they're doing isn't the right thing for them. That's actually going to move the needle for them. So they have this illusion and they're taking a basket of supplements and drinking pomegranate juice. And they're like, I don't know. I did everything Doc said to do and nothing's happening. I'm like, but I still have a 60-day cycle. Like, what are we doing for that? Right? Because, new study just came out that like ovulation past cycle day 21, which I've always said negatively affects egg quality. So why are we using fertility trackers to try to capture a 30-day ovulation or whatever? I think my tip is that there's a lot of things that can help people stay present. In our app, because this is such a big problem, I built an AI therapist to allow women to have somebody to unload on every single day. The stress, the anxiety, because there's so much shame that's associated with infertility. And even they don't want to tell their husbands how badly they're feeling, how anxious they are, how stressed they are. All of that contributes to lower heart rate variability, which means less resilience, which means more stress and higher cortisol. And so if we can get people just spending 5 or 10 minutes, I always tell, our customers, I don't like to call them users, although that's what we say in the tech world, that sounds horrible. Our women, our ladies, even if you don't feel stressed, because we're professionals at pretending that we're not stressed, right? They'll just say, I'm really not that stressed. We look at their heart rate variability, it's like 10. Like, well, something is tweaking you. I say, just ask yourself, well, if I was worried about anything for tomorrow, what would that be? If I'm worried about anything in my relationship, what would that be? And just talk about that. If I'm worried at all about my fertility, about my next step, and just spend 5 minutes talking, just this is really bad, and have someone empathize and hear you. This is the piece, even though I think it's like the least clinical piece, that people report being the most beneficial for them. Because first they don't want to, but then if they know me, they're like, it actually sounds just like you. I'm like, it's trained on 10,000 hours. It's going to sound exactly like me. This idea that whatever we don't work out before we get pregnant in terms of our habits, our way of being in the world, our way of relating with the world, our attitude, our thoughts, we will, and I always say daughters because, women and daughters, whatever we don't work out, whatever pathologies we don't work out, we will teach them to our daughters.
Or our sons.
We'll do it not intentionally, but by modeling our type A behavior. We will show our daughters, this is what it means to be a mom. Get up at 4 o'clock in the freaking morning, go work out at the gym, make a bunch of meals, meal prep, do everything, be exhausted because be super skinny, don't eat enough. All of those messages are we are perpetuating the same life for them. And for some reason that women really respond to that because like, oh my gosh, you're exactly right. And I was like, do you want your life for your daughter? So we have to figure out how to nurture ourselves and care for ourselves. And like you said, listen to our bodies and listen to the signals. Like when somebody says, take this or that, does anything change? Do you feel different? And even if you don't, do you have a gut feeling about it? Our guts are so powerful. And especially for women, we really trained it out of women to listen to their guts. And especially because their guts are often not in that great of shape, we can optimize that and improve their intuition even more by improving the biome. So long answer to a short question.
No, it's good. I mean, the thing is that it's modeling, it's frequency. You always say, I don't want to be like my mother, but that's exactly what or your father. And I think a lot of women don't realize that patterning is got us to the epidemic of 1 in 6 now, depending on how old you are. Maybe our mothers, but maybe your grandmother now, grew up in this era that she could do it all, that she could work a 50-hour work week and be a full-time mom and do all the meal prep and all that kind of stuff. And that's come at a cost of our physical health. And that's why one of the factors of more women having fertility issues at a younger age and being told, well, just freeze your eggs or, do these, expensive things, where getting down to the root cause and understanding your patterns, what needs to work right for you is essential to not getting pregnant, right? Like we know you can push pregnancy, but reducing the fertility factor for your children, right? We're switching on and off genes when we are not aware of our physical health when getting pregnant. The studies are out there. It'd be interesting to know from your clinical work. I wouldn't say there's studies, there's more observations, but IVF babies are 30% more likely to have a whole host of health issues, ranging from low birth weight to food sensitivities to ADHD, autism. The
Function.
spectrum is huge, and no one wants to talk about this because obviously the billion-dollar industry would kind of collapse if this was really talked about. I don't think it's the treatments itself. They play a part in it, but it's really just pushing the mothers through this treatment when their body is obviously saying, hey, I don't have enough. Then you don't have enough to create the environment to
Healthy
switch
baby.
on dreams. Yeah, exactly. And the crazy thing is that it only takes 3 generations to switch off these genes. And I think that's why we're seeing such an epidemic now, not necessarily with the fertility treatment. That's about 1 to 2 generations going now. But if you look back at your grandmother, what started back then? The chemicals, the easy cook meals, the microwave meals, getting into TVs and technology and really just disconnecting. So really, we're looking at 3 generations, the other side, to switch them all back on. So if we
Yeah.
can be that first generation to do our kids that favor to switch 1 or 2 genes on for them, and then we can do better and better as we go.
Many epigenetics, just so that people don't feel like, oh, well, I'm just screwed because of my grandmother, like many epigenetic factors can respond in this incidents where twin got it and one twin did not get. And the only thing they were able to tie that to were epigenetic factors. And epigenetics basically means modifiable diet and lifestyle factors that influence our genes. And saw the women who ended up getting breast cancer had less positive habits than the ones that did not get it. We do have more control than we think. And I think this is how we have very low marriage rate, and we had a very low, we're talking about. Those include how we act. All of those things impact our whole ecosystem.
This happened earlier too. The internet just stopped. The power went out. So I don't know if the power went back on and got off of solar or what. Sorry, you're going to have to start back from saying how we can influence genetics now.
Sure. Yeah, so are certain genetic patterns that we can influence in this generation. So we're not just completely screwed because of what our grandmothers and our mother.
Yeah.
I think back to my grandmother. She came from Italy. She's a little 4'10", mean old lady. She had like arthritis. So she always point at you with her little crooked arthritic finger, But she and my mom did not work. They were stay-at-home moms. My mom and dad did not go to college. They did not have a lot of money, but Irish Catholic, Italian family, 5 children, right? So no fertility problems. My mom stayed home. I'm not suggesting that staying home is the answer, especially if you have 5 children, because that's probably more stressful than being an executive at Apple. But she cooked every meal, it was very traditional family. And again, I'm not saying that that's where we should go back to, but what can we learn from those generations that we can adopt more of those things that were working and then not take the things that don't work, so that we start to create a new way for women to live in this society that keeps them healthy, sane, happy, productive, and contributing to whatever it is that they're passionate about, and fertile. And I think we have to invent a whole new way of living. I mean, it's been weird because now I'm an empty nester and I was a single mom the whole time and I have MS. So, I have juggling a lot, trying to build a lot of things for everybody. But the reality is now that I have a lot less demands on my time, it's a lot easier to manage my health. And I think one of the things that we need to help all women, not just women who are trying to get pregnant, is really to prioritize what's important. Like, where are they spending their time? So many women that I talk to, I was like, tell me what your day's like. And they're like, well, I get up at 5 o'clock and I go to the gym, and then I come back and I make my husband's lunch. I do a full blowout, and I get to the office. I take a train and I get to the office and I work till 6 o'clock. And then I come home and I, go do another workout or something. And then I go to the grocery store and then I cook dinner at 8 o'clock, and then I do all the dishes and I fold the laundry, and then 9 o'clock I get in bed, and 10 o'clock I go to sleep. I'm like, that's every day. What do you do for fun? Do you get to see friends? Do you have any social time? They're like, well, I talk to people at work. But that is not a quality of life that anybody wants. And so how do we help people to decide what's important? How do we prioritize? Where are we investing our time so that we can be a whole person? not just trying to survive being a woman in today's society, which is not that easy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. And look, it's a big conversation wraps around where women were, where women are, and where women are going. But the facts are, as a society, we prioritize success more, and success looking, right? I'm successful because I'm doing the successful doing. Well, I have all this, I'm doing all this. So
Grinding.
right? And we prioritize that instead of joy, peace, fulfillment. We all got to work, right? Whether you're getting paid money or you're raising a family, that's work. And we have to show up and do these things, but you also have to get radically honest with yourself at what cost. And we are going to pause right there. I hope you're enjoying this episode. Please tune in next week for the second half. And until then, enjoy your weekend.
Thank you once again for tuning in and becoming the conscious mama you were born to be. Remember, I wasn't some magical unicorn who stumbled into fertility success. I stayed consistent, I put in the work, and I made it happen. And guess what? You can too. And I have something for my loyal podcast listeners, but here's the key. This is only for women who are feeling burnt out, frustrated, and stuck in the cycle of endless research. And you're at a point where you are screaming, I have tried everything. Why isn't this working? This only works for women who are ready to take a radical responsibility for their journey and start listening to their body's innate wisdom. Because deep down, you know you can heal and achieve your ultimate goal. If that's not you yet, that's okay. Not everyone is ready yet to show up with ease, deeply connect to their energy, unlock subconscious patterns, and listen to their body's ability to come into full coherence. But for those who are ready, I'm offering something I only do with my paying clients, and this is a fertility breakthrough session. This is the first thing I do, even before I start really deeply working with someone in a coaching package. It's a deep dive session where we look at exactly where you are right now, what's keeping you stuck, and the easy shifts that can change everything. But fair warning, these sessions are very limited and go fast. So if you're interested in checking out my superpower for uncovering exactly what's been overlooked, jump into one of these free calls. They're deep, they're intuitive, and they're game-changing. The only way you can access this is if you actually personally message me. You can do it on your favorite platform, IG, TikTok, or at my personal email, monica@findingfertility.co. Not .com, because they wanted $3,000 for the M, with just one word. And that word is dreams. Obviously, DREAMS. And I'll make sure you get that link right away. Remember, this transformation happens when you stay committed to yourself. Trust your body, follow your intuition, make it possible. The links that you need are down below. And if you are still here and you absolutely love this podcast, please take some time and leave me a review and help other women like you find this podcast to get the support they need. Help a sister out. Leave a review today.